A bright morning sun casts long shadows on the dusty fields of Ruwa, Zimbabwe. 60 children race across the schoolyard during their mid-morning recess, laughing, carefree, unaware that the ordinary is about to collide with the extraordinary. Reports speak of a silver, disc-like craft descending silently just beyond the playground fence. Some describe small figures stepping out, their eyes impossibly large and dark, as if peering into the children's very minds. Others insist they felt urgent warnings, as though messages were implanted in their thoughts about Earth's fragile future. Within minutes, fear and awe ripple through the group. Teachers find themselves face to face with distraught students, convinced something alien has touched down near their school. In the days that follow, investigators would hear eerily consistent details despite the children's different ages and backgrounds. Confusion, skepticism, and a hint of dread settle over the community. Had an uninvited presence truly appeared in the African bush? Or was it all a shared illusion, born of childish imagination? To discover how this fleeting moment on a playground shook an entire nation, and still troubles minds decades later, we must return to that September morning and unravel the mysterious landing that changed everything. A morning in Ruwa. Ruwa, a quiet farming community situated southeast of Zimbabwe's bustling capital, typically sees its mornings filled with the sounds of rustling leaves and the distant hum of traffic along the main road. By the early 1990s, this rural pocket had begun to feel the influence of nearby Harare, with more families moving here for its wide open spaces and close-knit neighborhood culture. For most, life revolved around the routine of school runs, church services, and the steady rhythms of fieldwork, an ordinary pace that seldom invited sensational headlines. On that particular morning, Ariel School students were simply going about their day. Aged 6 to 12, they were an energetic, multicultural group. Children whose biggest concerns usually revolved around homework, soccer matches, and favorite cartoons. Among the staff, teachers like the ever-practical Miss Smith, known for her firm yet caring demeanor, were indoors, attending a routine meeting. Outside, the children spilled onto the dusty playground for a mid-morning break. Their carefree shouts and laughter echoed across the school's neatly trimmed lawns, blending seamlessly with the chorus of birds perched in nearby acacia trees. No one expected anything remarkable from this ordinary September day. Yet whispered rumors had circulated in the region about curious lights seen on the horizon at odd hours. Nothing anyone took too seriously, brushed off as illusions or local folklore. Even so, the stage was unintentionally set for what would become one of Zimbabwe's most talked-about events. In mere moments, this typical school morning would collide with something so bizarre and unsettling that not even the level-headed Miss Smith could dismiss it as a figment of childish imagination. From the vantage point of Ruwa's serene fields and the simple routines of daily life, it seemed impossible that an unearthly visitation might occur. But as the sunlight spread across that seemingly uneventful playground, a question lingered in the air. Did those rumored lights foretell a larger mystery? The answers, as the children would soon claim, lay waiting in the brush just beyond the school fence, and would irrevocably alter Ruwa's sense of what was possible. The children's close encounter. At first, it was just another morning break, children laughing, chasing each other, and exchanging snacks in the crisp Zimbabwean air. Then came a hush, subtle yet unnerving, that fell over a group of students near the edge of the playground. One child, a wide-eyed 10-year-old, later recalled noticing a dazzling flash in the corner of his vision, like a mirror catching sunlight. Turning toward the fence line, they saw something astonishing hovering at a low altitude, a sleek silver disk reflecting the bright African sun. As this object drifted closer, the children's giggles gave way to whispers of uncertainty. A few braver souls crept toward the boundary, while others backed away in alarm. Fear seeped in when they realized the craft wasn't just floating. It appeared to land or settle at the far end of the brush, well within sight. Several younger students began calling out for the teachers, but none were close by. Instead, the children were left to observe intense fascination as small figures, humanoid in shape, emerged from the disk. Some described these beings as thin, with large black eyes, and oddly elongated heads. Others fixated on the shiny, tight-fitting suits they seemed to wear. One little girl recounted feeling a strange buzz, like someone talking inside my mind, though she heard no audible words. A boy who stood close to her swore he felt a sudden wave of panic, as if the presence itself radiated fear. Yet another claimed he sensed an urgent message, later interpreting it as a warning about humanity's rampant use of technology. Though these accounts varied in small details, nearly all the children agreed on one point: the silent figures were watching them. Strangely, many sensed neither outright aggression nor a warm greeting, just an intense, almost probing curiosity. Heartbeats thundered in small chests. A few children began to sob quietly, unsure whether to run or stay. Then, as abruptly as it had arrived, the surreal encounter reached its crescendo. One student described a luminous aura enveloping the disk, like a sudden shimmer. Seconds later, the beings vanished back inside. Without a sound or visible jet, the craft lifted from the brush, ascending into the sky at an impossible angle. Some would later insist it shot off at incredible speed, while others only remembered blinking and seeing nothing but empty air. In the abrupt stillness, the children registered what had just happened. The ordinary had been shattered by the extraordinary. Panic and awe mixed in equal measure. Some kids sprinted inside to find any adult who would listen. Others remained frozen in place, clinging to fence posts and each other. By the time a teacher finally rushed out, the craft was long gone, leaving only frightened children and swirling dust in its wake. Many were crying, their faces etched with confusion. A few struggled to describe in words the profound sense of otherness they had just experienced. As the children stumbled back into classrooms, adrenaline still pulsing through them, few realized the full magnitude of the story they carried. For them, the immediate aftermath was all about calming racing hearts and trying, in breathless half-sentences, to explain an event that defied logic. What had they really seen? Were they all imagining the same impossibility? By lunchtime, rumors were echoing through school corridors and beyond, setting the stage for questions that would refuse to let go. Weighing the evidence. In the days that followed, word of the strange encounter raced through Rua. Teachers confided in one another about the children's frantic descriptions, while parents struggled to calm youngsters too frightened to sleep. Local radio stations picked up the story, and a handful of journalists arrived to interview anyone who might shed light on what had transpired. Soon, talk of alien visitors intermingled with rumors of secret military experiments, and a swirl of theories took root. Despite the excitement, there was a notable lack of physical proof. A few brambles near the fence showed signs of having been flattened, but no definitive scorch marks, footprints, or radiation traces could be verified. School staff admitted they felt inadequate to investigate what amounted to an extraordinary claim with little tangible evidence. Instead, they noted that children from different classes and, in some cases, different backgrounds, recounted similar sightings independently. They drew near-identical pictures of saucer-shaped objects and strange beings. These sketches became the closest thing to evidence of an event that defied easy categorization. The consistency among the young witnesses sparked intense debates. On one side were those, particularly parents who observed their children's genuine fear, who saw no obvious motive for a shared lie or prank. They pointed to the children's raw emotions, the trembling voices in recorded interviews, and the way each child insisted something truly out of this world had landed. A handful of local residents backed them up, claiming they too had noticed flickers of light in the sky that morning, though none reported seeing actual beings. On the other side, skeptics argued that the entire episode might be a product of collective imagination or hysteria. They noted that children could be highly suggestible, especially in groups, and that pre-existing rumors about unexplained lights could have fueled a mass fantasy. A local psychologist floated the possibility that excitement and fear, once seated among a few imaginative students, spread quickly, prompting others to adopt the same story. Still, the sheer detail and coherence in the children's accounts presented a stumbling block for the mass hysteria theory. Investigators with a more open mind sought expert opinions. One of the most prominent was Dr. John E. Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist who had previously explored controversial experiences people claim to have with unexplained phenomena. After interviewing the children at length, Dr. Mack voiced his belief that the students were not fabricating their stories. He described them as sincere, with no indication they had coordinated a hoax. African ufologist Cynthia Hind similarly conducted interviews, collecting hand-drawn depictions of the event. Her findings echoed Mack's. Something startling had genuinely affected these children. In contrast, some official voices expressed reservations, pointing out that no formal government inquiry took place, no conclusive scientific data was recorded, and no known technology, terrestrial or otherwise, was confirmed to have visited the school. Could an advanced craft have landed and vanished without leaving definitive traces? Or did the children's imaginative minds fill in the gaps after catching sight of a passing aircraft, meteorological anomaly, or an otherwise mundane incident? To this day, the Ariel School case remains open to interpretation. Some stand firmly in the extraterrestrial camp, viewing the telepathic warnings about humanity's future as too pointed to be mere invention. Others insist on a more grounded explanation, psychological, cultural, or environmental. Yet despite numerous investigations and repeated interviews, no single theory has put every doubt to rest. The children's still vivid memories offer compelling testimony, but the question lingers. What truly happened that morning in Rua, and can it ever be explained beyond a shadow of a doubt? A mystery unsolved. In the wake of that surreal morning, the Ariel School community found itself searching for answers that never fully arrived. Students struggled to articulate their experiences. Some claimed their worldview had expanded, others simply grappled with lingering fear. Teachers and parents who were initially skeptical soon realized the children's vivid recollections were not fading with time. Though no official explanation emerged, the consistency of these witness accounts and their emotional impact became a lasting hallmark of the incident. In the years that followed, researchers and journalists revisited Rua to document the story anew. The children grew into adults, many continuing to insist they had seen and felt something profoundly real that day. Yet still, no universally accepted theory has prevailed. Some see it as a visitation by otherworldly intelligences, citing the telepathic warnings about our planet's future as proof. Others suspect a psychological phenomenon or shared misinterpretation of mundane events. Could these young witnesses have encountered a technology far beyond our understanding? Or does an overlooked, more conventional explanation remain buried beneath sensational headlines? To this day, the Ariel School case stands as both an enigma and a reminder that certain mysteries refuse tidy conclusions. In the end, each listener is left to weigh the possibilities and decide what truly happened in that quiet field on an otherwise ordinary September day. Were these children in Rua actually visited by otherworldly beings? Or could there be a more down-to-earth explanation we've missed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching Mr. Alien Files. If you enjoyed this ufology mystery, continue exploring the unexplained in our next video. Let's keep pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we dare to believe.